Can you see my? Go ahead and get started. Like I said, good morning. My name is Mark Mormons, Senior Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Venture Development with the Arizona Commerce Authority, and excited to bring today's session of the Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective to all of you. First, before we get started, just want to give a shout out and gratitude to all of our partners across the state. We've been running this Small Business Bootcamp since April, and we could not have done it without the support and partnership of these partners and many, many more. The Small Business Bootcamp is geared towards serving small businesses with 20 employees or fewer, helping them kind of respond to, navigate, and return stronger from the COVID crisis. Like I said, it's a statewide initiative with the support of many, many partners, and it's been a daily bootcamp through July, and then we're excited to also continue bringing additional content to you in the month of August as well. Some more details about that to come. The Resource Collective is the other kind of side of the same coin, which is our online forum where we've aggregated all of the resources from our partners across the state to bring important information to you small business owners. You can also find recordings of all past webinars on this site, as well as find kind of documentation, supporting materials, and kind of the presentations shown during these sessions. We encourage you to check it out. We'll post the link in the chat window, and you can also register for future sessions on that same site. Like I said, the Resource Collective, there's resource guides, toolkits for all sorts of industries and businesses, and we'll post the link for that in the chat as well. So we've got some great topics for you this week. Tomorrow we'll be hearing from Rebecca Clyde, CEO and founder of Botco AI, about how to remove friction from your business. On Thursday, we'll have a session on the PPP program as we get ready for the forgiveness process. And then finally on Friday, we'll have a session around finances. Some quick updates. There's still funding left within the PPP program. So if you are thinking about it or know other businesses that have not yet applied, they can still do that. And then the next big kind of date to have on your radar is August 10th, when lenders will be able to start processing the forgiveness process. So before we get started, I also wanted to point out some other really valuable programs out of the ACA and some of our partners. The first is with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Centers across the state. The Arizona chapter is very strong. We've got partners in all over the state, partnered with community colleges as well, that can provide business coaching and consulting, relationships with local lenders, templates to help you grow your business. We've also got the Arizona at Work program, which helps with training, certification, finding employees, and that's been a really successful program as well to support small business. And then finally, the Arizona chapter of the MEP program, which is helping manufacturers across the state with their business processes, connecting them to customers, and planning consultation. So definitely, if you're in manufacturing, I recommend you check out that program as well. I'd also like to point out the Arizona Together website through the governor's office, arizonatogether.org. This is another great place that's compiled all of the resources for COVID-19, whether it's for individuals, businesses, and kind of community support. Here's an example of some of the types of resources on our Resource Collective. So whether you're a hotelier, retailer, restaurateur, there's all sorts of industry guides, resource materials for you to kind of look up and help plan your business around. I'd also encourage you to check out our website, azcommerce.com/COVID-19. We just did a revamp on this website, and it brings together all of the latest status updates and information relevant to COVID-19. So today I'm very excited to be introducing a panel of speakers to talk about a really interesting initiative around civic coalitions. And it's how private sector partners can team up with municipal leaders and kind of vendors across the state to come up with a playbook plan forward through this crisis. And so we've got the speakers on the screen today, joined by Andy Lombard, EVP of Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at the ACA, and talking about the Civic Coalition program. So without further ado, I will hand over my screen and let our speakers take it away.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it. And again, welcome, Brandon, Jill, Barbara, and Ann. You guys are great for joining us. This is going to be kind of an interesting panel that we concocted. Brandon and I have been talking a lot about the model that the team here has created and implemented successfully. So we really want to showcase it. We want to understand how we can extend it, and we look to the future and how these types of models can really help our communities and our businesses. So we know that just one bullet doesn't get it all. So we want to try to look at every single opportunity that we have, and I think this could be a really great one. Before we get into it, I have to mention, we've been doing this now for, I believe we're on our 14th week. We decided, originally we did this and signing up to daily boot camps. We were going to do it to the end of May, which ended up being like 5 weeks. We extended that now several times. We're going to extend it again to the end of August. We're going to do it a little bit modified schedule. We're not going to do it 5 days a week, but we're going to have at least Tuesdays and Fridays filled with content, and then we're going to ad hoc a couple of days in between. So kind of stay tuned for that for the Small Business Bootcamp. Okay, without further ado, what I'd like to do is really have Brandon kind of lead this effort. I'm going to be here as kind of a higher level monitor of this, but Brandon, I really would love you to go through kind of the overview of the model that has been set in place with Tempe and Tucson, and then we'll get into some really cool case examples, but kind of share the overall vision and the overall model with us.
Yeah, certainly. So, and really a lot of credit, I'll just have to say right up front, a lot of credit goes to the city of Tempe and the Tempe Chamber of Commerce for really leading the charge on this super early in April. Well, and probably the conversations I'm sure started in March is, we just weren't privy to them yet. Really what we're talking about here is this idea of a collaboration between the different entities within within a city organization. So you have the chambers of commerce, you have the actual city and economic development groups. You also have then the downtown in Tempe, specifically the DTA, the Downtown Tempe Authority, the tourism authority within Tempe, and then a few other parties came on board as well to create a coalition and a collaboration between these different groups to create a single program. And there are many different aspects of that program rolled into it, but create a single program. And in Tempe, it happened to be Buy Now, Save Local. And it was a program and initiative that every group leveraged their resources, leveraged their reach to the merchants and the small businesses in the community, as well as their reach to the consumers, to bring together a program that was there to prop up and support the small businesses. And it started as a way to do it while they were closed. If we all remember, April, late March, April, and then parts of May, these businesses had to be closed, and there was no way for them to get business. And the program that was put together was a way for merchants to be able to sell support vouchers, basically pre-denominated gift cards and services in advance, where the merchants could then, the small business owners could have the funds, receive the funds, help with cash flow that was non-existent when they had to close their doors, to put food on the table for their family, to help pay for employees. This is before PPP. If you remember, that was just an idea at the time. It hadn't even become a reality quite yet. And so this really helped to help these small businesses to survive during this time and allow the community members to support their small businesses that they knew and loved. And so having a chance to be a part of that, from the Hound, from the software platform side that helped facilitate some of those support voucher sales and the outreach to their customer base, being a part of that really showed us the power of that collaboration. And then we packaged that up and then ended up working with a number of others. And then Barbara's here from the city of Tucson, so certainly I know you'll want to get her take on things. But the city of Tucson, when they heard about this, jumped all over it and became a very active partner in doing the same thing, assembling the coalition, and even reached out to the county of Pima to pull together even a broader coalition countywide in collaboration between those entities. And so really expanded on this idea of helping support the small business community by leveraging the community's desire to support those businesses through purchase of support vouchers, as well as then coming in and visiting the businesses now that they're open. So I'll stop there and let you ask questions, clarify, and then obviously love to hear from.
It's just a great overview. So I guess let's start with Ann and Jill. How was this an idea that you guys thought of and then came and said, "Wow, do we have vendors that can do this?" Or was this something that came as an adjunct of an idea that you were already working on pre-COVID? How did this all kind of come about?
So the Tempe Chamber had partnered with Hound on their platform back in October, and kind of when had been working with them, and when we started those stakeholder meetings, and Jill is familiar with what the work that they do as well, and just said, how can we expand what they're doing? How can we work together to make an even broader impact in Tempe? So able to make that connection with Brandon and Jill to see how the city can help leverage their connections and their resources to be able to serve even more businesses in Tempe. So I don't know, Jill, if you wanted to add anything on to that from your side.
Just that about covers it, Ann, but I would just add that, it really was important that the partners got involved and had input and say in how we looked at these tools and resources to help our businesses. And it became really clear to us, obviously early on, that the kinds of businesses we could help with a tool like this were ones that we wanted to really focus a lot of our efforts on during this difficult time.
So Jill, from your perspective, what was the linkage between the various township, entities? I mean, was this just the city, or did you reach out to other, departments that made sense to implement this?
So we worked with the Strategic Planning and Diversity Office, and we also, certainly with our city manager and CFO to look at funding opportunities for this. We also went to our IDA for some funding, our Industrial Development Authority, because we were asked by our management to look at, other sources of funding in addition to city monies. And Tempe Tourism, of course, the Chamber was extremely instrumental in this, as Ann said, and then our Downtown Tempe Authority. So those were really all the partners that were involved. And it was very important to us that it was a community effort. It wasn't just the city saying, I think this might be a good idea. It was getting good input from those who were on the ground working with our businesses day to day and could really tell us what they needed.
Excellent. So describe for the audience here today, what is the essential application? So just walk us through, like, if I want to participate as a purchaser of something, how would this work as a consumer? And then how does it work for the small business?
Certainly. So for a small business, I'll start with that, because really at the end of the day, we're deeply passionate about supporting the small business owner and making sure that they can remain thriving and they can survive, especially through this pandemic. And so it really all starts and always starts with the small business owner and the small business, and making sure that they can support their employees and their employees' families, et cetera, through hopefully just through normal everyday commerce. And so the way that our platform, in the way that we structured is that the merchant can sign up. Already our platform has no upfront costs or no fees. And so it's very merchant friendly right out of the gate, from a monthly fee standpoint. And so they sign up, they load in their offering, which can be a discount. And this could be, 5% off, 10% off. It could be simply a coupon. In this time, it's best if they were to do something that allows for a pre-purchase, meaning either a gift card, maybe it's a $20 gift card for $15, or a $25 gift card for $20. That kind of idea, where a consumer then can go in and make that purchase. They go in and load that up, and then the platform really does the rest, allows for distribution of that promotion across email to their past customer base, onto their website, to social media platforms. And then we have a My Hound app that, where we have merchant density is specifically within a particular city. So when we're working with the city, My Hound app becomes a great vehicle, which is a mobile app that anybody can download. Becomes a great vehicle for consumers to be able to browse and find different promotions from other small businesses in their area. And so from a merchant standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. I want to circle back to something that Ann and Jill said regarding funds and things like that, and how that worked, and really what the city of Tempe created as a model, and then city of Tucson really stepped up to the plate as well in conjunction with Pima County to support this program for their businesses. But from a consumer standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. Either if they're a past customer of one of these businesses, they'll receive an email from us with the ability to claim the coupon or purchase these vouchers. They might see it on social media because we've sent that targeted promotion to them that way. They might come across the promotion through a pop-up on the merchant's website, or through the marketing efforts that that the cities and the groups do to their consumer base and their constituency and community. Might see the ability to download the MyHound app, and if they download that app, then it's a geolocated distribution listing of the different promotions from the different merchants nearby. And it's sorted by proximity, and so I can see the different promotions from the different merchants in and around my area. I can make a simple purchase or coupon claim, and then when the business opens, if they are open, I can take that promotion, simply redeem it through the app, and then that's it. So pretty straightforward. The one aspect that I think is really unique and certainly not essential to make to help one of these collaborations become effective, but is certainly helpful for the small business, is that the city, we do have a visit-based fee. So ultimately, when we deliver results, meaning a consumer actually walks in the door and with one of the promotions, there's a small fee that we assess. That's how we make our revenue, and that's really all that there is to it.
Brandon, just to clarify, that's all on success-based, meaning
correct.
It has to go in and execute something before any fee is assigned.
Yep, that's correct. I mean, you can imagine during a time like April, during the shutdown, the success-based fee that's dependent on visits is incredibly beneficial to the merchant, in that they have the ability to generate this cash flow through the community support, purchase these vouchers, and then only pay in the future when somebody comes in. Well, one of the things that the city did, is identify funds that they could contribute to subsidize the visit fees for these merchants. And so they created a subsidy, a flat dollar amount that when exhausted, then the merchants continue to pay on their own, but it's enough to get through this pandemic and allow for the merchants to sign up with already zero risk, but now zero cost. And so it really is reflective of the city's desire to see really help their small businesses succeed. And what's really interesting about this is, our visit fees are generally, they're flat fees. They're not percentage based. So we don't take a percentage of revenue. They're flat fees that are the same, regardless of how much the consumer might spend. And what's great about that is it averages out to be generally around 10 to 12% per, for a typical transaction, which means that the city, through subsidizing these fees, is actually getting a 10x ROI or multiple on the investment that they're making into these businesses. So, consumers spending, let's call it, $10 with that business, and the city might be spending $1 in that pay-per visit fee. And so that business is getting a $10 transaction from their community, and the city is helping subsidize the cost there. So it's a pretty powerful program when combined together.
I want to dig into that a little bit, but I want to give Barbara a chance to kind of explain how this vision kind of started in Tucson and what the process is. Is it the exact same? Is there some adjustments that you have made on the model?
Thanks, Andy and Brandon. It was an exciting opportunity, to be honest, and I have Tempe to thank for it, because as a good economic developer, we don't like to reinvent the wheel, right? We go with what works in other places, and we take those best practices and we map them on in our communities. So in my mind, it was a great opportunity that came at the right time, right? We were all looking for ways to help our small businesses. Immediately, we had issues with closures and reduced operations, and so we knew that our smallest of the smallest were going to struggle the most. And one of the things that was happening in Tucson already, and I have our downtown Tucson partnership to credit for this, they had already launched a gift card program for their downtown merchants. And so they were pretty well organized, and every week they were selling gift cards and putting thousands of dollars back into those downtown merchants that really were almost shut down once everybody started working remotely. So it was something that when we look at the city of Tucson citywide, we saw, okay, Tempe has rolled out this program. They've got Hound as their partner. What's up with that? Maybe this is a way that we could reach the farthest reaches of our city, that we can, so that those merchants that are not organized by some kind of merchant association or a downtown alliance, we figured this might really be an opportunity. And so we got together, as Brandon mentioned, it's all about collaboration. I pulled the county together. We had a large team meeting of all of our stakeholders, including Visit Tucson and the chambers and several folks. But in the end, it really was the opportunity for the city and the county. We saw that we could utilize a portion of our CARES relief funds to offset those fees. And so that's what we did. Our agreements with Hound to offset the transaction fees, to make it easy and sort of no cost, no risk for a merchant to sign on the platform for this period of time while we had funding available, that they could do that. And so we felt that opened up the access, which is also very important. And I'll add this other piece. It was that we knew some of these merchants weren't digitally ready, right, for what was about to happen and with the pandemic. And so we saw this as a way for them to catapult into that arena, those that were going to have to do takeout and delivery and curbside pickup and other things could now be more visible if they weren't outfitted with any sort of web-based platform that was robust enough for that Hound could supplement that by its email marketing and its geofencing and all of the things that it does to make it easy for the consumer and the retailer to connect. So we were real excited to get on board.
Awesome. So a couple of topics I wanted to dive into. So not use of funds yet, but more access to funds. So Jill, did you also use CARES Act funding? It sounded like that's, Barbara, where the main funding came in for this. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Jill, same, or was there another source of funds?
No, we used funding from the general fund from the city, and then also from the Tempe Industrial Development Authority, our local IDA. We were lucky to get a contribution from them as well. We didn't receive CARES Act funding in the way that Tucson did. Tucson, Phoenix, and Mesa were communities of 500,000 or more in population, and so they received CARES Act funding. So we did not receive those kinds of funds to do the same kinds of structure, to structure our program the same way.
And if I could just dive in, Jill and Barbara, and you can weigh in on this as well. How do you view the ROI on this? How have you communicated it to the public teams that are involved?
So for us, it's more than just, certainly it's the revenue that the vouchers and the coupon program bring to the businesses, which is critical and the key to the program, but it's also the additional marketing and visibility that it's brought to the businesses that are part of it through our whole Buy Now, Save Local campaign. And the ability, as Barbara said, for these businesses that maybe didn't have sophisticated marketing in place and a lot of online tools that they were comfortable and well-versed in, they had another partner in that now with the Hound program. And so, we've felt that, and we've heard back from our community through surveys and through phone calls and emails and all sorts of sources, and I know Ann has too, that they've appreciated this opportunity to help them increase their marketing capabilities through this tool and this program and with the partners. And we've tried to do as much as we can as well to get our council out and others in the community to help promote this through social media. So over 100 businesses through this program have been featured in our social media, and we're very fortunate to have thousands and thousands of followers in our social media as a city. So it really has increased the ability of these businesses to get the word out that either they were open and ready for business and had these programs available through the app, or just that they even existed, because some of them didn't do much marketing before. So it's really been a boon, I think, in many ways. And then it's helped neighbors that really were reaching out saying, what can I do? How can I help? It's helped them get involved in supporting local which is the whole premise and obviously the name of our campaign. We want anyone that wants to support our businesses to support them, but we especially wanted the locals that are invested in our community, that know the businesses, that want them to continue to be part of something along with us. And this was an easy way for them to support local and really help our businesses.
That's awesome. Barbara?
Yeah, I would add to that, the opportunity to drive customers, right, to the businesses was paramount, that they could, and I love the Hound ability to utilize their existing email marketing list that they may have been developing, but then also the fact that it broadens their opportunity to create a new customer base. And so I think that was very important as we're trying to drive more business. We knew that everyone's habits, their shopping habits, their buying habits were changing. They're now sitting on the sofa and clicking and purchasing and calling and ordering, and so they're not front and center. They're not maybe on that drive, that commute to work pathway or whatever else that had them patronize those businesses ordinarily. And so I think we just saw this as another way to give something to our businesses that could broaden their reach. And so I think that's exciting. And as Jill mentioned, it is about sales tax revenue, right? We want to encourage our local customers to shop local. Our consumers need to shop locally to drive that sales tax into the businesses so we remain economically viable and that they can survive this pandemic. And Tucson is known for that. We love our local independently owned restaurants and retail establishments. We have a strong support for those merchants, and I think this was something the consumers really thought would be helpful. And we're just about to embark on, I guess, our strong consumer push. We've gotten to about 70 merchants, I think, signed up in our region. And so now, starting next week, I think you'll see a big push for the consumer side to download the app and to get on board and really utilize the coupons and the gift voucher program.
And Barbara, what are you marketing under? Is it the same marketing framework as Tempe's using, or is there a different?
Very similar slant. Shop Our Local Deals is what we came up with. SOLD was our acronym. But again, the idea that we can make this opportunity available so that consumers can get what they need locally, and that the merchants can drive more business and have some of that gift voucher as sustaining cash in their accounts through this very difficult time. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to get into case examples. So I want the four of you to kind of get your favorite one. You guys get one example of a business that kind of went through this, if you have some case examples. But before we do that, so you can start thinking about that. Before we do that, I'd like to kind of crispen up, what are the roles and responsibilities? So what are the roles of each group, if we can start to break that up a little bit? Because there's a joint effort on marketing. I want to kind of get into that a little bit, but also kind of expertise on one area and the other. If there's some definition of roles, it'd be helpful. Maybe Brandon, you could kick that off, or.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'd love to just call out, with regards to the creation of the programs. So what's so interesting is that Tempe.
Yeah, your microphone just kind of.
Yeah, it did, because I got a call in. It's so annoying. I'm sorry about that. So one of the things I think that's interesting is that the Tempe program was born out of a time where there was lockdown and they couldn't visit, and so the name of the program even is reflective of that time, Buy Now, Save Local, and it's still relevant today, but certainly even more relevant at the time that it was created. Shop Our Local Deals is now people are at least beginning to come out. They're visiting, they're able to visit stores, but also they still want to shop locally and really promote that. And so the name within the city of Tucson is very reflective of that program as well, and across Pima County. So I think what's important is that that the different groups, despite the different roles that each group may play, and that it's unified under a single program, unified under a single name, and while and then within that, I mean, so Hound played a role plays a role in the Buy Now Save Local program in the city of Tempe, but we're not the only tool in that toolkit. Go to the Buy Now Save Local website in the city of Tempe, and you'll see a number of other resources and tools as well, in addition to ours, that provide value to both the merchants at that time, but then also to the consumers. And so, we're I guess, one tool in an overall tool belt that helps facilitate these transactions, but not a silver bullet by any means, and not a single thing that can help. And so in the same way, when working together, these collaborations, it's important that everybody brings their network and their unique capabilities and reach to the table. And so I guess just to tee it up, maybe Anne and Jill, if you could speak to how you collaborated and the areas in which the Tempe Chamber helped reach out to their merchants and leveraged their capabilities, and Jill, where you did yours, and how the DTA fit into that, and some of that, how you guys really worked to collaborate together. And then Barbara, I know you brought together a coalition very quickly as well. Would love to hear your take on who played what role in bringing it all together.
Sure. So I think I had mentioned previously, because we have already been working with Hound for quite a while, and we already had this group of stakeholders meeting and trying to come up with solutions. We've been meeting with the city, DTA, Tempe Tourism, and other stakeholders. Really, what's out there that we can utilize to make a difference immediately. And so, helping to make that connection from organizations that we have a relationship with, and being able to connect to the city to help expand that. I think was key to implementing it in Tempe, and also going to be able to expand it beyond what your platform was already doing. So going beyond just the 3 categories that you originally focused on, but expanding it to any brick and mortar business in Tempe, I think was critical, because there were so many organizations and merchants that needed that assistance, and the community just wanted to play a part. How can we help? How can we engage? They really wanted to help save our local businesses, because they're so vital to this, our community as a whole. It keeps us strong. They are, as you know, the backbone to our community. So I think all of us, we're bringing in our relationships and sharing that. Sharing is so important, especially today. I mean, you can't, this is mine and this is yours. I mean, that's out the window. And I'm so proud of the relationship that we had with the city of Tempe even prior to this, but I think it's just made it stronger.
Awesome.
And Barbara, if I may jump in, because we may lose you, I think maybe, because your computer. So if you want to just speak to.
I will.
In case you can't come
I know.
back.
I'm having this notice on my computer telling me I have 2 minutes, but some strange restart. So, but here's the thing. We absolutely felt like it would be helpful to expand our ability to work with the county and move that broader. So. And now, communities like Marana and Sahuarita and Oro Valley could participate. And so we just know that the more merchants on the platform, the better it's going to be for the consumer side. So again, having that opportunity. And then, and looking at, we've established, I don't know, we talked about, you asked Andy about how things work together, whose roles, what the responsibilities are, but we're doing team meetings with the Hound team each week. And that's been very helpful, and we're sharing information and updates, and they've got some boots on the ground now too, talking to our merchants. It was also very important for us to get out to our Spanish speaking business owners as well. And so we made a concerted effort with the Hound team to address that and to have the Spanish speaking skills on their end available so that merchants could understand. Again, it goes back to access and trying to be where the merchant is and meet them where they're at, so that we could really encourage a broad usage of this opportunity.
So Barbara, before we lose you, I want to also ask you, what is the critical start, that you would recommend for a community out there listening that hasn't done this yet? What advice can you give them to just get this kicked off and started?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, jump in, right? All tools, as you mentioned, the tools in the toolbox. We love having those things available. We were really looking for something that a small business could latch onto and utilize. So I would say go with, you know, it's helpful to have cities gone before you. So you can look at the Tempe model, you can look at the Tucson model, you can look at the communities that now Hound has worked with, and you can find a solution for your city or your community. So I would say follow that, and we're happy to help. We shared sample press releases, sample agreements, all those things, and we'll be there for those that are interested.
Awesome. Maybe a question in general for Barbara, Jill, and if you don't have CARES Act, if you don't have reserve budget, what role do you see you play, and how would you implement this if you had not been able to start up some subsidy of the visit fees?
I think you would have to look for some type of potential investor who in your community would help support this and really work hard to show the impact that it can have in such a simple, easy to use way. If you don't have those CARES Act dollars, what other resources do you have? Or is there a program that exists that maybe it can be tweaked to incorporate this in some way? And I think just having those conversations with the Hound or whoever it might be, what are ways that we can work together to make this happen in the short term, and what could be our long-term goal for this relationship? And I don't know, Jill, if you have any other resources for cities and economic development folks to take a look at.
Well, again, I come back to there are many IDAs. There's a state IDA, a county IDA, many of those across the state. They have different priorities and different levels of funding available. But if you don't, if you haven't connected with your local IDA, it might be a time to talk with them and see what their priorities are, and if there are opportunities to work together for funding for programs like these. Because a lot of them do want to get involved and want to help, and many of them have done all sorts of grant programs and other things like this across the state. So it's an opportunity to look at them and partner with them and see what they might be able to do to help.
Thank you. Brady,
Yeah,
do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I would love to. I think so. So the funding is incredible because it obviously helps subsidize the merchant, especially at a time when every dollar counts. And so that's it is important, but it's not. I should say it's not essential in order to still see an effective program. So you take, and granted, a different scale, but the town of Fountain Hills and the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce. They didn't have access to some of the same funding, and so but they still put together a program, still rolled it out to their community in a way that by just working together and creating an awareness in the community, and again creating that overarching campaign, it can still provide a lot of value to the merchant. Still show that their city, their chamber, their community is looking out for the small business, just by creating that campaign and creating that awareness and really leveraging the tools at their disposal, even if the actual cost can't be subsidized. And so you can see effectiveness regardless of that, even though it certainly is a major benefit to the merchant if the funding does exist.
So let's talk a little bit about the marketing chain and kind of the flow of it. Brandon, are you as Hound kind of delivering the overall marketing campaign and executing on that, or is that somehow done through the cities and then you're supporting it? How does that look? Because there's upfront marketing efforts that need to go out to give the awareness of this, and I'm just wondering how that occurs.
Yeah, so it really is a true collaborative effort across all parties. So what I loved about, especially early on, and I didn't attend the majority of the meetings. We have a phenomenal team on our end that fills a number of those roles, and they're frankly much better at some of that than I am. And so, but they worked on a daily basis, met with the group from Tempe, and then as Barbara mentioned also. on a weekly basis, and even early on a daily basis to get the program kicked off. We fill our role, which is, we know how to reach out to the merchants and get the merchants engaged with the platform and help them get onboarded and their offerings created. And then obviously every other aspect of our platform we deliver on. But when it comes to leveraging connections in the media and press releases, we have our own press release channels, and we certainly executed on those. But really, this is where the city and the chamber and the other groups can really leverage their strengths. And so I'll let Ann and Jill speak to some of the things that they did to help bring awareness to the program, and the things that they continue to do. They have signage access that we just frankly don't have, and that helps bring awareness to the program, and a number of other things. And so turn it over to Ann and Jill.
So we had the ability to have a banner in our downtown and at our library, and we worked with local media to do a push through our local media. We did a social media campaign, and we worked closely throughout with those partners that Brandon mentioned. The chamber was key, DTA, our tourism group, and everyone, worked together to get the materials out to all of their networks and their memberships. And that was very, very important in getting the word out. And our marketing teams even have been meeting on a regular basis since this started, not just at our level, but then our specific marketing and communications folks have been meeting weekly and more often sometimes to coordinate press releases and all sorts of other items. So it's really been a collaborative effort, and that's helped tremendously with getting the word out and doing it in a very concerted, concise way. The message was very clear to the community, and it was widespread because of the reach of all of these organizations along with the city.
So let's talk now a little bit about the small business side. And so how many small businesses do we think we've impacted? Do we know the numbers on that? How successful so far? And I know you're just getting moving on it, especially Barbara. It sounds like you're starting to that momentum, but what are some of the results so far that you can point to?
So for Tempe, it's about 140 businesses that have signed up. Some are much more active than others. It's been about 35,000 in overall revenue so far with the sales of the vouchers. But that's just the beginning, we feel, and there's more to come. And the contract for this program we have goes through March of next year, and or the point at which the funds are expended, whichever comes first. So, we think we have, more to go in this campaign and more revenue that will continue to come in for our merchants. And we've added the ability and modified the contract recently to allow for the coupon feature so that it's a little more flexible for the merchants. Some have done well with vouchers. Some like to use coupons. Some are using both. We just want to give options.
Great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I would say it's been fun to watch who shows up on the platform. So we've had everything from, restaurants to gyms to, yoga studios, massage places, and of course the pizza places. Anyone who's doing some delivery, takeout restaurants are popular, but we've had another good result with some of our Pima County attractions coming on board. So we're able to do some creative things with those organizations who, again, also need the gift voucher opportunities and the future opportunity to come in, even if they can't visit right now. So having that gift voucher program has been instrumental. And I think we said over 70 merchants right now, and we know they're signing up weekly. So I think we'll have a really robust group of merchants for our consumers to choose from. And it's just really exciting. As a matter of fact, one of my first visits
I picked a barbecue place. Brushfire Barbecue actually was who I downloaded the coupons on my app. It goes into my little Hound wallet, and I go into the store and order the barbecue. Show them the app, and they take the discount right there at the register, and then we get our food and we go. So it's very easy to use, and it creates a touchless, almost contactless, touchless process as well, which has been good during these times. And so, and for me, that was a new restaurant, right? So that's the other great thing from the consumer side, is that you're able to try out something new. Find those merchants that are on the platform and go and visit them, and it creates a fun opportunity from that as well.
And
awesome.
So along those lines, but trying something new. So I think it also goes on the creativity for the merchant. So there's a merchant in Tempe, phenomenal food, Cafe Boa, and they initiated a wine club during this time. So they excess wine, they have access to wine, so they created a wine club and leveraged leveraged the platform, leveraged the program to drive subscriptions to their wine club. And what's interesting is, that's an example where they were using a coupon to get people to subscribe to the wine club, and then you go in and actually when you come in, that's when you pay for the wine club, set up your subscription, and it goes on from there. And so, being the wine lover that I am, I immediately jumped on that one, and so now I'm a member of their wine club, and so I think also figuring out how do we report back to the city for even things like that from a reporting standpoint, to capture some of the creativity that some of these other merchants are doing that may not even be in the traditional support voucher coupon sense. They're getting very creative in how to use and create new programs. So
that's fantastic. So what I'd like to ask, so here's a model. You have a wonderful platform like Hound that integrates in to assist the town and the chambers to assist small businesses and the community. I love the concept, and I think you brought it up, that there is so much outreach, and we obviously have that almost on a every minute basis at the ACA of people coming out saying, how can we help? And so you're connecting the dots on that. I love the concept of taking the true need we have and then connecting the resources to it and the people's desire, our community's desire to help. What other avenues are you thinking of as a community, a township, a city, chambers that can extend on this type of model? If it's not just for the couponing side or others that you might be thinking of. Is there any other thought process of extending this type of coalition?
Well, something that we've been kind of working on and trying to see how we can expand it, but is going beyond one type of platform, but creating a citywide pledge where the consumer can take this pledge and they pledge to do these things to support the community, and then the business can also take a pledge, and this is what we're doing to help keep our consumers safe, and what we're doing to help support the community. Because the challenge is getting customers in the door, and the customers want to feel safe with what's happening. So how do we bring those two things together? So it's been successful in other areas, other states, other communities. So if there's a way that we can do that type of a program coming next, I mean, this is going to be a lot longer process, time that we're having to work together to help support our small businesses and our communities. So anything that we can do to continue to engage not only our partners to expand beyond this, because everything we've done in Tempe, going back to an earlier question, it's been co-branded. We've all done this similar messaging, so everyone understands this is a community-wide approach. So that is important, that constant messaging, continuity is key, but looking at ways that we can continue to innovate to, get those consumers into our businesses to help them be successful.
Barbara, Jill, extensions of a civic coalition, what other concepts do you guys have?
Yeah, so similarly to what Ann mentioned, the county has been putting together what they're calling a badge program. So Pima Back to Business is their brand for helping people recover from, during and survive this pandemic. And so the badge program, much like what you described with your pledge, is if a business is doing all of these things, then they're ready to, receive customers in a very safe and effective way. Because again, it's about restoring consumer confidence, right? We just need people to feel comfortable engaging again, so that they can shop comfortably and feel like they're safe and secure doing that. But other than that, something interesting, Andy, that we've explored, and this is really looking at economic development in a new way and business recruitment in a new way. We had another company, so it's great, Brandon's company is Tempe based and a fairly new company, and we love it when we see startups and can help be part of that support system for startups. And this particular group out of the Bay Area came to us and said, we've got a program for an e-commerce marketplace. And so again, different and distinct from what Hound is doing, a company called True Local is now launching in Tucson. We're one of 3 cities across the country. Indianapolis and Fort Myers, Florida will be the other, where we are basically going to be able to encourage our local merchants to be part of an e-commerce marketplace that competes with the big ones, like you would think an Amazon, a Walmart, a Home Depot, when you're searching for items locally, and those come up and you click and you purchase without thinking. But what if you could purchase locally? And so that's the idea, that some of our mid-sized retailers that may not be associated with those large national chains and those kinds of platforms, they would have this opportunity as well. And it's local delivery and curbside pickup and those things, and rather than a ship-to model. So we felt like True Local was a great complement to what we were doing with Hound. And so I think that's what we need to do as communities, is just be open, keep our eyes open to the opportunities in this new world, because I don't think we're going away from it. This is, we've all sort of moved quite rapidly into sort of a new phase with technology and with our digital interactions. And so I think we're going to need to keep our eyes open for those kinds of opportunities.
Love that. Jill.
We're also working on funding for a small business safety supply program. We're going to be going before council next month to ask to fund that, and we want to impact at least 500 businesses, if not 1,000, with the ability for them to come and get those supplies. And we have economies of scale through our vendor contracts, and pricing that they just don't have the ability to access. And we know that those are additional costs right now, when it's a time when they really can't afford any additional costs. So we thought, we looked at some ways to try to help out, and that's one that we've come up with that we're excited about implementing, we hope, in the very near future.
Is that sanitization, sanitizers, PPE type of fund, or what exactly is that fund for?
Yes, so we would be providing kind of kits, if you will, with masks and sanitizers and those kinds of things. And where we can, we will buy those locally to support our businesses, because we have a number of businesses that are producing those locally. So we're excited to be able to work with local vendors and get those supplies out to our small businesses, and help them with those extra costs that are difficult right now.
Terrific. That's fantastic. Brandon, final words. First of all, before you kind of close us out, I'd like you to have the final word. Thank you so much. I think this civic coalition that you put together, the concept, the model, is exemplary. It's absolutely a type of model that I think we need more and more of throughout the state, and I'd love to encourage that. I'm so happy to hear that you're open to sounded like take some phone calls from other communities that can share from this example and potentially get that started in their organization. I'm sure there's a number of pitfalls that you can kind of guide them on as well, to not make those same mistakes twice. As you learn through those, you have scar tissue in going through it, so helping out those communities would be phenomenal. But Barbara, Jill, and thank you so much. Brandon, final word.
Yeah, I would just say again, thank you for leading the way, you know, Ann, Jill, and Barbara, and you know, we're just honored to and proud to be a part of this effort and initiative to save small businesses and keep them alive and thriving and you know, get through this crisis. You know, because of the learnings that we've had over the last several months together, you know, we've had a chance to put together, I think, a really efficient and you know, collaborative program that can now be replicated, and hopefully, you know, through your continued guidance and help and assistance and you know, our own growth and iteration, we'll be able to help with other. You know, with other cities and towns and counties and help save, you know, more small businesses out there. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Brandon, and for your leadership, and for everyone else. We really appreciate everyone attending. This has been fantastic, and let's go see if we can put this model to work throughout the state. Thanks again, and good luck with all the success. And I'm gonna, Barbara, I got to check out Brushfire. It sounds great. I'm a barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy a coupon from them.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.